Okay, we're just about ready to get started, everyone. Thank you for joining our info session for Applied Digital Geography and GIS. Just give it another couple of seconds, and then we'll get started. My name is Mashur Chaudhry, and I'm the manager of recruitment and sales for the Chang School. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. I want to pay my respects to the Indigenous peoples, elders, and ancestors who stewarded and cared for nature and the people who lived on the land where TMU is located today. At the university, we made a deep and long-lasting commitment to truth and reconciliation. I invite you to learn more about this work online. Now I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You will have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the question box in the control panel. And you may send in your questions during the sessions and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Now I'd like to introduce our guest speakers for today. Raymond Garrison, Academic Coordinator and Lecturer at the Chang School. And next we have Bonnie Martins, Lecturer at the Chang School. And finally, Sean Olofsson, Environmental GIS Specialist at Ontario Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, and a recent grad of the certificate. We're really excited to have this amazing panel of speakers to share their insights. Now I'll invite Academic Coordinator and Lecturer Raymond Garrison, an industry expert lecturer at Chang School, Bonnie Martins, to go over the brief overview. And Bonnie also teaches 2 courses in the certificate, so I really wanted to invite them over to just share that brief overview of the certificate. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Next slide, please. So I want to start off by talking about some quick facts related to the Applied Digital Geography and GIS certificate. First of all, it is completely delivered online, and I'll say more about that on a subsequent slide. There's a lot of flexibility built into the design of the certificate program. You're required to take 6 courses. Only 2 of them are required courses, and you have many different choices among the 4 electives that you would be taking. You can complete the certificate in 1 year, but sometimes it takes 1 to 2 years, depending on which course you want to enroll in, because not every course is offered every term, although the 2 core courses are offered every term. And the fee structure is basically you pay per course. So when you take a course, you pay at that time. So you do not pay for the entire certificate all at once. And the approximate cost, depending on the courses that you select, is between $5,400 to $5,900. Next slide, please. So before we get into the certificate itself, I wanted to say a few words about GIS in general. It's increasingly important as a planning tool because everything is spatial. Because we're interested in not only knowing what is happening in the world, but where it's happening. And as you can see from the graphic on the right-hand side of your screen, GIS technology allows you to layer data on interactive maps and give you a visual impression of the interrelationship among various variables. So here you can see, for example, land cover, wetlands, floodplains, zoning. You can also have urban development, roads, and so forth overlaying on the same GIS map. And you can study correlations between the data over space. And I'll give you a quick example of one that's fairly recent, and that is during the COVID-19 global pandemic, we were very much interested in this in the city of Toronto. What are the vaccination rates and where are the vaccination clinics located? So you could just take those two data points and put them through GIS and understand that you have, for example, an area where vaccination rates are relatively low and there's no clinic very close by in that area. Or you may have a situation where vaccination rates are high, and therefore you don't need another clinic in that particular area. So the facility siting with respect to vaccination clinics can be related to vaccination rates using GIS. That's just a very simplistic example. And that example also speaks to the fact that GIS can feed directly into decision-making processes in the development of policy response options, as we did for COVID-19. Next slide, please. So industry trends and career paths. These are a number of different careers that you could pursue after completing the certificate: decision support analyst, specialist, GIS analyst, specialist, technician, researcher, location analyst, research analyst, spatial database technician and analyst, geospatial data scientist, crime analyst, or crime intelligence analyst. So these are sort of pulled from various online job ads, the types of job titles that require GIS in order to execute the job. So our graduates do find jobs in both government and private sectors, as well as sometimes in the third sector, in the volunteer sector. And there's a growing demand for GIS professionals in all industries. Next slide, please. So jumping down to the latter part of this slide, what you'll learn from us, again, these are a number of different positions that you could hold, but you can also be working in the area of urban and land use planning, infrastructure, utility assessment and planning, retail location analysis, and environmental management, which is the area in which Sean is working. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it over to Bonnie to talk a little bit about a few issues related to the certificate. Over to you, Bonnie.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say one thing about Bonnie. Bonnie comes here with a very unique perspective. She's been teaching, as Monsieur mentioned, 2 courses in the certificate, CODG 101, which is the first course that you would be taking. And she's been teaching that for 16 years, and it has been recently fully updated to use the latest software. We're always using the latest software. And Bonnie is also a previous graduate of the certificate program many years ago. Yeah, so she brings that unique perspective of being an instructor as well as a student to the certificate. Sorry, Bonnie, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. No, thanks, Raymond. One thing also that I would like to point out, I am an industry professional. So not only do I teach in the program and my education was in the program, but I spent 13 years working as a GIS analyst for the federal government in various roles, doing like surveying, putting together mapping products for Public Works Canada, Natural Resources Canada, that sort of thing. But as well, I spent 21 years working as a criminal intelligence analyst, doing geospatial intelligence for 3 different law enforcement agencies in Ontario. So I think I've got a really good background in both working, hands-on working, and the teaching. So I just want to point that out because a lot of times some of my examples that I bring to the classroom and that I'll post on our discussion board, these are real world examples that I've had experience dealing with as well. The slides that Raymond looked at, all of my students have gone into those fields. That's where we're getting the list from as well. And I'm always extremely happy when I send them to Raymond, like, this person got a job, and whenever somebody tells me. So I feel like your success is my success as well. But so I just want to go over some of the practical skills that you'll learn in this program. Technical proficiencies. So the certificate demonstrates mastery of GIS software and tools. we make sure that the curriculum is aligned with industry standards. This is what the software that the that industry is using. I know that again, because of my background, this is what I used every day. I've got some examples later when we go down to the list here of how I have used them, and I'm more than willing to share with everybody, all the cool things that I was able to do. For data visualization and spatial analysis, yeah, it equips aspiring professionals to transform complex data sets into actionable insights using maps and spatial analysis. So, a lot of times our students are given these very large data sets, these great big spreadsheets. And what do we do with them, right? And in this class, we go through on how to clean the data, how to organize your data, mixing different data sets so that they'll work together, and then producing some really solid cartographic output, right? Because that's the thing, you're creating maps right now. My students that are in the class right now, we're creating maps for different users. We've got the same data set, and you create 4 different maps for 4 different users, and we learn about how color, using different fonts, using different projections, using different backgrounds can really make and enhance different maps. So, and then we look at problem solving, right? Enhances ability to address spatial problems, from optimizing delivery routes to predicting spread of disease. So some of the people in the class in previous years, we've had students that were epidemiologists, right? And they were looking at the spread of disease. We've had lots of students, some students are working for like the school boards, and we're looking at school bus routing. We've got students working for Metrolinx, and doing all the routing for that. We do network analysis, we do overlay techniques, and I teach the students how to animate some of the temporal data that you have in the second course, my 127 course, the community and social services. And here, I like sharing the stuff that I've used this for. I actually use this myself. It came up as a practice data set. And I had an opportunity while working in law enforcement. We had some drugs coming across the border, and we had to, they asked me, okay, well, where did this go? And all I got was a spreadsheet of coordinates, and I was able to map it out. And then I realized, you know what, I'm going to animate this. And I actually went through and looked up my instructions. I had to go back because it's not something I use every day. I looked up my instructions from this class, and I was able to animate it to show where the trucks came from and where they ended up. And the Crown prosecutor thought this was like super cool. So, and now I'm really eager and excited to be able to share some of this with you, as you can tell. Next slide, please. So in this class, in this course, you'll be able to future-proof some of your skills, right? So this is really specialized knowledge. In these courses, you are able to demonstrate that you've got expertise in spatial data analysis, geospatial technologies, and it really does set candidates apart in competitive markets. So something that I mentioned in the previous session that we had here, Toronto Metropolitan University graduates hire Toronto Metropolitan University graduates. That's actually how I ended up getting into law enforcement. The person who was doing the hiring, they got their undergraduate degree from back then Ryerson, but they got their degree, and they said to me that they knew that I would have the skills that were necessary because they took the programs themselves, right? So interdisciplinary relevance, GIS integrates fields like AI, Internet of Things, big data, ensuring long-term career relevance. So big data, of course, is the buzzword. You know, everybody's talking about big data. I know that Sean, I think that you've taken some courses there in using or working with big data. This is the spatial side of it, right? Our data sets, they're actually pretty big. You know, one that we deal with in the courses that I work with, it's the census data. So we're talking about very complex data sets. And we look at the spatial side of it, right? So what do you do with this? How are you going to map it out? What can you show your clients? What can you show your employer? If you're a researcher, what relevant data can you pull out of it? Right? And adaptability. So TMU certified GIS professionals are equipped to pivot into emerging fields like smart cities, modeling climate impacts, and monitoring environmental changes. I think Sean is going to be talking about some of that, tracking disease spread and manage healthcare resource allocation. So again, like I said, some of our students, or many of our students, the fields that they go into are exactly what we've listed here. So some of them may not be your traditional GIS analyst. This isn't what their title is, but they use it as a tool, right? So they are environmentalists, they're environmental biologists, they are urban planners, but they have this as part of their tool set, their toolkit. And it makes a big difference. It makes a difference in hiring. It makes a difference in what you're able to produce while on the job. So next slide. I think this is still me, right, Raymond? So one thing that we do, and I think it's really important, we work a lot on portfolio development, right? So GIS projects completed with projects from classes can provide tangible evidence of skills for interviews. So I know that in 102, CODG 102, the second class, the second required class, that they start putting together a portfolio. And I know that many of the projects from my class are used in there. Now, this is something that you can take to an interview if you have printed copies, but of course you can also forward a portfolio of your digital products. And again, Sean, I think that you've done this before with some of your other work that you've done, right? That you've sent them links of the projects that you've worked on. I know that one of the former students that took my class 127 over the summer, she was actually just hired on as as an archaeologist, and she asked me for the link for one of the projects that she worked on so that she could prove to them that she had the necessary background. This is the course that I took, and here's the output that I was able to produce. And she got a job as an archaeologist just a few weeks ago. So credential validation signals to employers that you've completed formal training in geospatial tools and concepts. Again, so as I mentioned earlier, so this is industry standard. So, you know, people, they're looking for employees that have the basic skills. How do you find your files? you know, making sure that the projections are correct, you know, making sure that your scale bars are correct. So that's my course, right? The basic cartographic output that you're going to be creating. And like I said, TMU graduates hire TMU or employers hire TMU graduates. So they'll know that you have this certificate program behind you. And employer confidence, the TMU certification assures employers of consistent quality skills aligned with industry standards. So again, having all of these courses going in, you are going to be able to speak to all of the questions that they're going to ask you. So again, the student that I was just speaking about that became an archaeologist, she told me what the questions were that they asked her, and it was like, oh yeah, I know, that's exactly from that module, you know. Oh yeah, that one was from that module. So she was able to completely nail this interview, you know, based on just having our certificate program. I was really, really proud of her. So, and I'm looking forward, all of you, come to our classes, and I can't wait to meet all of you and teach you all the cool stuff that I know. So next, I think we go back to Raymond.
Yes, thank you so much, Bonnie. That's invaluable information. Next slide, please. Okay, so as Bonnie said, you'll be job ready. And throughout the courses that you take for the certificate, you'll have opportunities to collaborate and network with your fellow students, many of whom are already professionals in various sectors. And as well, the instructors are industry professionals as well. And you do have access to TMU's Career Co-op and Student Success Center to assist you with job placement as well when you're enrolled in the certificate and for a time after you graduate. Next slide, please. So who should take the certificate? Those looking to upgrade their skills or make a career change. Perhaps you're already within a career, but as Bonnie said, you may want to add this skill to your tool set to enhance your abilities to carry on in the job that you have. You could be a recent university graduate starting out in the GIS industry. We have students who have completed our spatial analysis degree here at TMU who then go on to do the certificate as well to enhance their skills in that area. We also have people who do the certificate and then go on to our master's of spatial analysis that we offer here at TMU in the geography department. So there's connections there for further education. And those new to Canada looking to build a new career, and you don't need any prior experience with GIS or statistics, but of course you do need to know how to use a computer. Next slide, please. So basically, I'm just going to quickly go over the certificate structure. It's designed to be completed around your schedule. The courses are all part-time. The certificate is part-time. You complete it completely online, as I said back on the very first slide. It's a blend of synchronous and asynchronous components. Most of the courses are largely asynchronous with a few synchronous touch points, perhaps at exam or test time, or at times when there's an optional gathering to network with other people in the course, or sometimes there's guest speakers who may come in the various courses. So that would be at a specific point in time, but largely they're asynchronous to be completed around your own schedule. And to access the software, any computer will do, and you access it through Toronto Metropolitan University's state-of-the-art virtual desktop. Okay, so you don't have to worry about downloading the software or having the software or paying separately for it. It's included with the tuition. So as I said at the top, there are two required courses. Bonnie teaches the very first one, COGG 101, and then COGG 102, and for electives that you take. Now, you can complete it, as I said, in 12 to 16 months very easily, but you do have 4 years to complete it. So that is 12 terms. So maybe you can start off by taking a course this term, take one next term, but then when third term rolls around, you're a little too busy with your job or other obligations, so you don't want to take a course that particular term. That's fine. In total, you have 12 terms to complete these 6 courses. And if you're unsure if GIS is for you, you can always start off by taking Bonnie's CODG 101 course and maybe 102 as well, and see where you're at, and then decide on which courses you want to take further to finish the certificate or not. Next slide, please. So this is basically the structure of the course after you've taken the first 2 courses. We have professional applications and skills development. So we offer courses in utilities planning, municipal applications, often those are interrelated, business decision-making, environmental management, and Bonnie's course, community and social services, CODG 127. Skills development, we do have customizing GIS software. It's an excellent course. It takes you in very small steps through the processes necessary to modify GIS to automate various procedures and so forth using Python. So it's a Python course related to GIS. Digital image processing and applications, dealing with remote sensing data and so forth, web mapping, map algebra typology. Then we have spatial database management for GIS professionals. Basically, that particular course helps you deal with very large databases and managing them. And we also have spatial statistical methods as well. Next slide, please. So again, you can complete the course completely online. Each course involves a series of hands-on activities and assignments and self-tests and so forth. So you're walked step by step through the process. The instructors, like Bonnie, are highly motivated and experienced industry professionals. And you get both a theoretical education and practical training that you need for a successful career as a GIS professional. Next slide, please. And that's it. Back to you, Monsieur. Oh, actually, yes, back to you, Monsieur.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks so much, Raymond and Bonnie, for sharing that overview. Love the multi-sectoral approach and how hands-on we are with the data, real-world scenarios. Really exciting stuff. Now, before I introduce our next speaker, I'm really glad to see we've got some questions coming in as well. I just want to post a quick poll that we can take. I'll post it up here. It's, which skill do we think is most important in the applied digital geography and GIS world? So first one, geographic databases, visualization, and digital geography, GIS applications in various industries, legal, ethical, and technical GIS aspects, data analysis, interpretation, and presentation. So we'll just leave that up for a bit while I introduce our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce one of our students of the certificate and environmental GIS specialist at Ontario Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, Sean Rolfson. Sean will share his experience in the course and journey with us. Welcome, Sean. We'll end the poll here.
Thanks, Monsieur. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sean Rolfson, and I'm a 2022 graduate of the TMU Applied Digital Geography and GIS certificate, so very recent. I wanted to give a quick thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my journey and insights regarding my experience as a relatively recent student and graduate. At the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, I decided to turn a challenging time. I had a lot of time on my hands. I don't have kids, but there was a lot of time. The world was kind of going through a bit of a tough spot. I decided to turn that into an opportunity for growth and enrolled in the GIS certificate at TMU. That decision marked the beginning of my continuous education journey that has introduced me to a whole new world of spatial analysis, innovative technology. GIS was always my first love. I should mention that I graduated from the University of Guelph over 20 years ago now, 2002, with a degree in environmental protection. But GIS was always sort of that itch that I wanted to scratch. Never really got to during school. So from there, dove even deeper into GIS-related learning via data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, continuously building on that solid foundation that the TMU GIS certificate provides. Looking back, it's really a pivotal moment. I'm astonished at how far I've come in a few years. Haven't stopped learning. I'm still taking courses to this day. It's been incredibly rewarding to this point. What you'll notice is you become a go-to person for a lot of things. Whether you want to or not, around your office or workplace or even home, you become the go-to thing for very many things because because you've developed these skills. I always say to myself that 2025 me thanks 2020 me for deciding to take the plunge and not just sort of, sit on the couch during COVID. So I'm still extremely happy that I did that. Currently, I'm working as an environmental specialist, GIS specialist with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks. And I've witnessed a fascinating convergence of traditional GIS and modern data science, two fields that are transforming the way we analyze, visualize, and make decisions about our world. It's no longer about paper maps and printing at a dot matrix printer. Those days are long gone. Although I was alive, I was a kid during those days, so I do remember. But GIS now, I really refer to it as it's data science with the added complexity and interest of location and time. So I like to think of it that way. To any prospective GIS students, I want to emphasize that GIS is an incredibly dynamic and innovative field, whether it's climate change, urban planning, infrastructure management, humanitarian efforts. Raymond mentioned volunteering is a very important aspect too. Forest health mapping, endangered species protection. The list goes really on and on. We could talk all day. GIS is a gateway to all of those topics, and developing extremely valuable and marketable skills that make a real impact. I think I'm proof of that. They'll not only make you versatile, just personally, but also to any industry where you're looking to get a job. I've mentioned this already, but it's just not about paper maps. The old school paper maps are sort of the bane of my existence. I love mobile. I love to make things interactive. So I see old maps from the 80s around my office, and it kind of makes me cringe. They were really well done at the time, but we're really getting into really innovative mobile real-time data. Web mapping that's one of my things. So with this mindset of continuous learning, you're preparing basically for a career in the future. And really what I say is, I think my director mentioned this, that you're delivering true value to the company. Not based on what you're paid or it's based on the skills that you bring, and that you can be a go-to person of any importance. So truly take the time and effort to invest in the basics. And Bonnie's 101 course was my first course, and started off this whole journey. You really get those bedrock skills that are provided by the certificate, and then you can really go from there. My continuous learning journey continues with, like I mentioned, artificial intelligence and machine learning. It all ties in together. Python is very important in the GIS world now, and TMU offers that ability to learn Python as well. And one of the things we're working on right now with the ministry is real-time air monitoring dashboards that are directly connecting to the devices in the field, pulling in the data, mapping it into an interactive web map, and sending out automated alerts and emails to industry and relatively high up management in the Ministry of Environment to say when there's a bad air quality alert, or if there's it's been in the news recently, high benzene exceedances, things like that. And so that's something that we're currently doing right now that has a huge impact on the local citizens' health in Hamilton. Hamilton is known as a very industrial area. It's just, the opportunities are endless, and that's just one of the things we're doing now. I could talk all day about it, but just thanks for listening, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Can I just jump in? I just want to say one thing before you take it back.
Absolutely.
Because Sean was a great student, and I've been able to follow the progress of his career. One thing I want to point out from my perspective, I'm not just the lecturer. Please come back if you need anything further. I love writing letters of recommendation. Right, so that people, if you're going for a job, if you're going for any further education, because I know that Sean hit me up for a letter, and I was able to provide that for him, because to me, I'm a stepping stone, right? So I provide the fundamentals for the 101 course. I provide a little bit extra, in that elective course, but also please remember that I am there because I know a lot of the students, they're really unsure, or they're taking this for a specific purpose, so that they can go to grad school, so that they can go and find another position. And I want to make sure that students know that we're here for you, right? And we want to make sure that, like I said, your success is our success. So anyway.
All right, thank you so much for adding that. That's valuable information for all of our attendees. Now we've got a lot of questions, and I know we are almost at time, so I'm going to try to get through as many of them as we can, and we can go a couple of minutes over. I really hope we can answer these questions. So the first one is about using GIS software. Seems like it'll be very hands-on, and in-class environment, instructors can walk you through issues manipulating the software. How does this online delivery of the program provide this support?
So maybe I can answer that one.
Yes, I was going to pass that to you, Bonnie.
With online learning is a challenge. It's a challenge for the students, and it's a challenge for instructors. I've done both. I've done in class and online. I have enough experience now to realize what it takes, right? So I have very, very detailed, like, I mean, things circled, arrows going right in my notes so that students can see what the next step is. You know, they follow step by step. And if they have any issues though, I mean, I'm always here via email, but especially we have a public Q&A discussion board so that students can post a question. They can post a screenshot of what's going on. And then if I'm not available, anybody else can jump in and we can troubleshoot problems together. I just checked this morning for the 101 course. I have logged in 201 times. Right. So and we're not finished the course yet, right? This is week 10, I believe it is. So I'm on there all the time to be able to assist students as well. If you have problems with our virtual desktop, we do have an awesome set of people working at our help desk. They help at 10 o'clock at night. You know, they're always there for us. They're an amazing group of people. So I mean, I don't think that that is something that you should be afraid of. Right? Okay.
Awesome. No, thank you. Thanks for that answer there. I think that that will definitely help whoever had that question, and then all of our attendees. So great answer there, Bonnie. Next, I'm going to combine a couple of questions here because we have a few people asking how does this certificate compare with some other degrees or programs. So one would be a geographic analysis undergraduate program. You know, someone wants to know what would be the difference. And then someone wants to know what will be the difference between the undergraduate and graduate degrees in GIS. And the last one is between someone would be graduating in civil engineering program at TMU, wondering if they should be continuing that or going into specializing in geomatics. So a couple of all these different programs. I guess people just want to know how they sort of compare with this certificate, and if this certificate is like a gateway to all of those things, or more like good enough to land an entry job. So
well, it can act as a gateway to other things. Our undergraduate degree in geographic analysis that we offer here at TMU does offer a few GIS courses within it. But if you want to enhance your specific skill set related to GIS, then you could always do the certificate on top of the Bachelor of Geographic Analysis that we offer. They are two different things, though. You get a more broad-based education in geographic analysis, of course, with the undergraduate degree, and you get a more focused, skills-oriented output, basically, from doing the certificate. They're complementary, and certainly doing the certificate can lead directly into an entry-level job, as Bonnie has said and Sean has said. So that is a path that you could take. You could also do the certificate and then go back and do the BA in geographic analysis if you want to expand out further, right? But it's always good to have that tool set with you, right? And again, when you enter the Applied Digital Geography and GIS certificate program, you will have already at least a college certificate or an undergraduate degree in order to be admitted to the certificate. That's why I would say that after doing this certificate, if you really want to pursue further a master's in that field, you could through our Masters of Spatial Analysis that we offer. Yes, Bonnie?
That's actually what I did. Right.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
if I could jump in there.
Yes, please.
So I took this program, the certificate program, because what had happened was I was working in the field and the technology changed. Right. So we had a massive upgrade. It was basically going from DOS to Windows back then. Right. So none of these people that are in this, you're all too young to even remember any of that, but it was a massive change. So I took it. I had the theory behind me, but I needed to know what buttons do I press now? Right? Like, where is everything? So I took the certificate program so that it would prepare me for other employment. And while I was taking these courses, the school started up their grad program. They started up the Master's of Spatial Analysis. And, ooh, I want to take this. This is exactly what I'm interested in. So I was able to take the courses from the certificate program and go into the Master's of Spatial Analysis program, which was perfect for me because I had a really strong background in GIS, but I didn't have a strong background in statistics at the time. And I was able to barter my GIS skills for extra help with my fellow students that were taking that had really strong backgrounds in statistics, right? So it played off really, really well. But I always said, like, having the certificate program was kind of like having the sundae, you know, where I built up, you know, all the layers of my sundae. Getting the master's ended up being the cherry on top, right? But having the sundae itself was fantastic. You know, I was able to get jobs with it. So, yeah.
Love that analogy, Bonnie. The sundae and the cherry on the top. And thank you for your answers to that question. Next one is for Sean. Someone is commented, "Great story, Sean. Congrats on your MECP job. Was there a particular elective that you felt really helped you with getting a job in the sector?"
That's a good question. I really have tended towards the pure data science and statistics. There is a second level. I think it's it's Chris Scarpone's course, advanced spatial data analysis techniques. And that gets really into machine learning, random forests, and using huge data sets to come up with predictive models. I ended up, so yes, there definitely is, there are electives to do that. After 101 and 102, you really kind of feel like what part you like and what part maybe isn't your thing, or what is your strong suit. So I tended into the more pure data science and machine learning, bigger data sets. But the beauty of it is that I was going to mention this during previously, but GIS really lends itself to online learning more than almost any other topic. A lot of it, you would share your screen with your instructor or another student and say, hey, you would walk each other through it visually on the screen. And now with Teams and Zoom and Google Meets, it really, I can't think of a better industry that lends itself to this sort of part remote, part hybrid, the powerful remote desktop that it was Ryerson when I was there. What the TMU offers gives you all this powerful, expensive computing software all in one, so you don't have to worry about it having a fast computer. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on that this online mobile world that we have it's perfect for GIS learning, and you can sit across from your instructor face to face on a screen, and they can walk you through things, and you can bounce ideas. So yeah, I'll stop there, but great question.
No, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And trust me, we all still slip out the old Ryerson name as well. So it's not you. Don't worry about that. Next question is, what are some core competencies someone who is pivoting into this career from the technology from the technology printing? So I guess printing industry need. So core competencies for someone, and I guess we can answer it in general, you know, core competencies as someone who is just pivoting from any career into this. And I'll just combine that with another question, which is, you know, what is the most challenging part of the certificate for you? So Sean, maybe you can start with that, and then Raymond and Bonnie can answer as well.
Sure. I would say the most challenging part is getting started. Just make that leap, put in the effort. There's lots of support, and it opens up from there. It really is a gateway. I call it floodgates. It really just opens up this. You can go in so many directions, and it brings so much value to any industry that you're in. I like the fact that I was in my 40s when I jumped into the certificate, so I needed the you know, the asynchronous delivery, and I can put in time when I had time after work, or even, you know, during work lunch hour. So that asynchronous part was huge for me.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that you can actually pivot into this from any discipline. It's not so much the core competencies that you bring as the design of the courses is such that as long as you know how to use a computer, you're literally walked step by step through the modules with self-testing, and the instructors are there, such as Bonnie. As Bonnie said, she's always there to help. And before you know it, what is initially quite daunting when you first log in will just become something, I hear this time and again from former students, become something that is relatively straightforward, straightforward and easier to use, right? And then you start getting excited about being able to do more and more things with this particular set of software programs and so forth. But what I'm emphasizing here is the baby steps that you'll take. And that's built into the design of all the courses. So if you're taking 101, or even if you're taking our 1 through 2, the Python course, you know nothing about Python, that's fine, because it takes tiny little baby steps to get you there through the 13 or so modules. Bonnie?
Yeah, so I am lucky in that I get most of the students end up taking 101 first. But you can take 101 or 102 first, it doesn't matter. But I get a lot of the 101 students, and a lot of them are afraid. They are. It's brand new software. It's a brand new idea, you know, for them to be working in this area. The only a lot of people are afraid at first because they're like, I have no experience in this. You don't have to. You don't have to have any experience. For me, it is don't be afraid to use a computer, right? Because people think that oh, I'm going to press this button and it's going to break. It's not going to break. You're going to be fine. You know, we've saved your data. It's there. The original data sets are there. You're not going to ruin anything. If something happens, you can start again. You know, it's just getting in there. And I for the next time we were discussing this, I'm going to bring some examples of the first output for the first assignment that people hand in. Some of them are very, very funny, I have to admit, but I have very realistic expectations of these first assignments, what students are going to be able to produce, right? And the first week, if you're able to draw a box and put your name on it, you're still getting marks from me because you're following directions, right? It doesn't have to look fantastic. But by the end, what the students are producing now, they're fantastic. They could go and work anywhere, you know, just with the basics, you know, if that's what the job is calling for. You know, they're taking a data set that they haven't used before. They're creating maps for different clients, for different users. They look fantastic, you know, the user can understand them clearly. And that's over 10 weeks, right? So by the end, you know, I think that you'll be really, really happy with what you've accomplished. So, and I'm so proud of all of my students, you know, by the end, what they're able to put together.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, you know, maybe in another session we could definitely share how those assignments look like, and you know, from what they do in their week one and the other one. I'd love to see the change. I'm sure it looks great. I know we're a little bit over time. We will just maybe there's two open questions left. One of them is what personality traits are common among people that tend to succeed. I think that totally depends. You know, we have a very diverse student base that always attend our classes, and I think yeah, most of them are successful. So that's the answer to that. But I think this one we can answer. What are some of the most used GIS software that are used in the industry? And maybe we can share, you know, what are maybe some softwares that we use.
So we use, in my two classes, we use ArcGIS Pro and QGIS. I know 102 uses ArcGIS Online.
Mhm.
And I believe some of the other, like ArcGIS Pro, and the programming course uses Python. Sean, you'd actually probably know because you took some of the courses.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
ArcGIS Pro is basically the industry standard, at least it is definitely for government. QGIS
Yeah.
is becoming a bit more of an open source alternative. We actually use both. Some when one can do the other, but usually ArcGIS Pro is that sort of granddaddy of them all. Mind you, the Python is because Python libraries are becoming a really huge huge innovation, and things are changing into more open source. Python, it's called GeoPandas. There's a ton of great mapping libraries that are free, free frameworks that are MapLibre, Leaflet, and you'll get into that in the web mapping course, which is actually where I ended up jumping off in the pure data science and interactive web maps. Was a great course, and a lot of these things are free. You get them included with the courses, but the new open source tools are basically all free, and you kind of just, it's a melding of all of them together, but they all exist in this certificate.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
the main software, as both Bonnie and Sean have said, is ArcGIS Pro, and then following that would be the QGIS. But other softwares are brought in other courses.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Now I'm gonna do my closing remarks, but I do want to share the results of our poll, and just want to let everyone know that all of these skills are actually covered in the certificate. So it was sort of a trick question. But as we do my closing remarks, we'll just do one more quick poll. We just want to get a little feedback on how we did, if we were able to answer all of your questions. And I want to thank all our guest speakers today. Thank you, Raymond and Bonnie, for sharing your insights. Sean, your stories are just really inspiring, and you know, allows us to really visualize what's possible, what the potential is in the field of GIS. So thank you for sharing that. And thanks everyone who took their time out of the day to attend today's session. I know we went a couple of minutes over, so thank you for still being here with us. If you're interested to learn more about the certificate, visit our website at continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me directly at mash.chaudhry@torontomu.ca. The presentation and the recording will be emailed to you with a survey within 24 to 48 hours. On behalf of the Chang School and our presenters, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of the day.